Tow rarely yells, which is fitting for someone that is rarely in the spotlight, let alone wants the spotlight. This doesn't mean he isn't able to rouse his troops. Just because he chooses his moments doesn't mean he doesn't have any. It's also fitting that someone who avoids the spotlight would be the one to outsmart an opponent before they even realize what just happened. So here is how Tow was playing chess, while Recall Khan was out here playing checkers. To begin with, Tow already made his first move against Recall Khan before the Battle of Eitei Plains even began, by getting Ryuan to send letters to nearby castles, informing them of Nanyo's current situation. Tow was able to reduce Han's reinforcements by 20,000. That is insane considering there was again no fighting. Just making clear, he didn't ask them to not send troops. Tow simply informed them of the utopia that Nanyo has now become. The genius doesn't stop there. Tow decides to send Josei, a Nanyo native, to accompany the Qin messenger, acting on his behalf at Shintei. Not only does Josei affirm Nanyo's status as a utopia, but his true mission was to meet Nei and give her Tow's message. That's the thing though, the really genius move by Tow was sending Josei specifically. Not only is he a Nanyo native, not only is he Kanpishi's senior disciple, someone that Nei is fond of. On top of that, Nei was very fond of Kanpishi himself. What a move by Tow to get Nei's attention. This is all hindsight, but Recall Khan already made his first mistake by setting out for the Qin armies instead of remaining in Shintei, which supposedly should have the best fortifications in China. This, coupled with their two unscathed armies, would have definitely put up a better fight. The beginning of the battle, let's break it down. Recall Khan is the first to speak and gives his speech with a focus on protecting the lives of their loved ones. Nothing else. All he asks from his Han brethren is to fight with all their heart, with all their soul, and with an iron will. In response to the Han commanders, Tow begins a speech of his own. How will he refute their argument of fighting to save their state's entire history, of having superior numbers, more soldiers that have gone through elite training? In comes in a masterclass of leadership. The strength of an army is not determined by the amount of practice, but rather the actual battles that have been fought, the countless life or death situations survive, and somehow coming out victorious. It is this experience that determines which army holds the superior might. Han has survived nothing. The Haitian unit for more than 10 years has continued to win and lose multiple times, but most of all survive. That is why they are strong. The Tang army did the same, but during the Golden Age as part of the Oki army. That is why they are strong. So Tow is pretty much saying there's no need to talk about emotions or fighting with all your heart, because the evidence is there. There is nothing that gives more confidence than having experienced way worse before and consistently. Onto the actual battle. When discussing the game plan, Tow immediately admits that a lot of blood will have to be spilled to achieve victory. That is not ideal at all, because to successfully take Shintei, we would need a very high level of martial might. But of course, Tow already thought about that, especially with that second plan of his. We'll get to that. This leads to two plans. The first plan everybody knows. Push forward with our hard hitters being our generals before the Han army can even gain any momentum. Essentially, whoever strikes first wins. Now, this being the plan and Tow remaining in the back does not make any sense at all, at least initially. This brings us to the second plan that only Tow knows. Everyone likes to think of Raboku as the king of foresight and having a plan for the plan for the plan. Tow gets in his Raboku bag. Apparently, the assumption is that Tow's main army is remaining in the back as reserves to support any of the new recruits that are struggling, since Han would naturally take advantage of those spots. Smart. Let's assume Tow meant that. There's so many layers to his strategy, but also it could just be because he's away from headquarters. I'd like to think though it's both of these reasons, because Tow is him. Everyone loved it back in Western Xiao when Osen had his disappear moment, so I better hear everybody glazing Tow, who is having his own disappear moment. Turns out the message that Nei received at Shintei was to meet Tow out in the battlefield. She is the only person that can save the people of Han. What could Tow be planning? If there was ever an all-time contingency plan, this is it. This is where Tow laid the seeds for Han to eventually surrender their capital city of Shintei. He's asking Nei, a member of the Han royal family, to do the impossible, to open their gates without a fight, even when Nei resolves that Han will never ever surrender. To put it simply, Toh rizzes his way into conquering an entire state. He literally sweeps Nei off her feet, and she can't help but feel great kindness when being held by him. He got her. And before he heads off, of course, Toh then shows her the battlefield, pretty much saying, look at what we're doing to your homies. Only you, a member of the royal family, can stop this war. And before he heads off, of course, Toh gets Rizzy one more time. It's alright, Nei. I know you can't wish me luck, but it's enough to already think about it in your heart. And she gives a classic tsundere answer. There could not be a feat more legendary than this. In hindsight, Toh's plan working makes this feat absolutely ridiculous. Now that Toh has returned to the fighting, it's time to call up his main army and take Rakur Khan's head. Rakur Khan, though, has other plans. He wants to aim for Shin and take him off the board first before Toh. So he sends his greatest weapon in Yoko Yoko to double team Shin along with Hakuo Koku. Big mistake. When informed of this by Rokiomi, I'm sure Toh is thinking one thing. That's easy money. So he sends a message to everyone on the field to all out attack Rakur Khan. Toh wants Rakur Khan to regret ever sending away his treasured blade to the other battlefield. Toh will not let this chance slip away. In his mind, I'm sure he knows that Shin can hold them off. Toh is advancing so fast that his other generals can't keep up. He is feigning for Rakur Khan, according to his first plan. Although Rakur Khan wanted a drawn-out battle, he can't help but head out and take the opportunity to slay Toh. Rakur Khan is trying to prove that talent surpasses experience, and he thinks he holds the favorable positioning. But Toh says, maybe you're right, maybe you were a genius back in the 90s, but we're done with the 90s. You're washed. Talent alone isn't enough. So Toh's saying, not only am I better than you, I have championship DNA. I have more experience. It seems that Rakur Khan isn't done. In our perspective, we broke the ranks of Han so easily, but really that was his plan. Those supposed scattered troops actually coordinated a pincer on Toh and his generals' armies. Now all of them are separated, not bad at all by Rakur Khan, doing all of this in an instant. At first it looked like this tactic was to isolate Toh alone, but really it also allowed Rakur Khan to attack both the wing armies. Kano, in an effort to save Toh, gets into a wedge formation. He wants to pierce through with speed, but to Rakur Khan that's a clear invitation to destroy his exposed flank. We've been relying on Toh's individual might for a while now, and Rakur Khan is salivating at the fact that Toh's end is near. So he decides to send out his personal Gecko unit to take Toh's head once and for all. To Rakur Khan all this time, it must have been so confusing to see the cautious Toh, in his words, be so aggressive and in a rush. What Toh was actually doing was baiting Rakur Khan by making him think that he was falling for Rakur Khan's bait. So Toh was the bait baiting the bait. He is the master baiter. Pause. Again, layers. It is apparently a tactic that only the OG Oki boys know. Toh takes this moment to school Rakur Khan. This is why experience is important. There are things that one can sense because of it. Has a man's fire been extinguished? Is he done? Is the enemy too focused on one spot? Then boom, in comes Kano the Undying. What a perfect nickname. The Oki army commander who excels at fighting to the death, devastating Rakur Khan's flank. He is the man whose fire still yet burns that Toh was mentioning. Because Rakur Khan was too focused on Toh, on that one spot. Masterclass. Toh does not miss this chance to capitalize on the chaos caused by Kano. He takes this opportunity to further rouse his troops. It's funny, the plan was already to fight all out from the beginning, but he says that now is the time to fight all out. There is nothing more epic and revitalizing than hearing that when everyone is already pushing their limits and coupling this with the enemy headquarters now in disarray. Toh and Rakur Khan do end up clashing in a sort of duel, and Rakur Khan does have the upper hand, but that was never Toh's plan to begin with. How many more times does he have to say it? That he is the biggest glazer of his homies ever. It's not about him. It's not about me. It's about Shin. It's about Kano. It's about Rokiomi, who arrives to flank Rakur Khan. It went from a 1v1 to a 2v1. No. Yoko Yoko blocks Rokiomi in time, making it a 2v2. Now that Rokiomi has turned up, it's like Toh flipped the switch and said, alright, it's time to show out. I can't be lacking in front of the homies. Toh is dominating Rakur Khan, even stabbing right near his neck. A dire wound. If it wasn't for Yoko Yoko barging in, his head would be rolling right now. All in all, Toh bested Rakur Khan in every single category. Martial might, strategy and tactics, leadership, you name it. He not only won the Battle of Eitei Plains decisively, but it looks to be a clean win for the entire Conquest of Han. Every step of the way, Toh was far and beyond better than Rakur Khan. Toh had plan after plan after plan, all executed perfectly. What does his victory say about Toh? He deserves to be recognized as the greatest of the current 6 great generals of Qin. If we include include the first generation, at least top 3. He can't just be Oki's lieutenant anymore. He beat someone who drove away Prime Rempa during the Golden Age. And to be honest, it wasn't even close. Yoko might have said it best. As much as we think we do, we don't actually know what Toe is. He continues to surprise us with greatness. Oki was right, he really was never inferior to begin with. If you made it to the end, thank you for tuning in. It would mean a lot to me if you guys left a like and a comment, share this video with a friend, and subscribe for more videos like this.